Calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out. Calories out. Calories out. Calories in, calories in, calories out. Calories out. The secret to losing weight isn't going keto or going carnivore or giving up your favorite foods like bread and pasta and sweets. It's about calories in and calories out. You master this technique and you're gonna lose weight. So back in 2022, I was at my peak weight of 218 pounds. I was binge drinking on weekends and I was eating basically whatever I wanted. I was stuck in this loop of thinking that even if I worked out 5 to 6 times a week, I would be able to like maintain a shape, but I was just gaslighting myself into thinking that I was getting in better shape when I was just actually gaining weight and getting worse over time. I finally realized that nutrition is the main component of getting in shape or losing weight. It's 80% of the battle. Working out is still important, of course, for your health, and it helps you burn calories, but the rate at which you can burn calories is so much lower compared to the rate that you can consume calories. I mean, you could go for a 5-mile run and it'll take you 50 minutes to an hour to burn 500 to 600 calories, but on the other side of that, you could eat 500 to 600 calories in like 3 seconds by eating like 3 huge cookies, you know? So nutrition is the key, and that's really what you need to hone in on if you're trying to lose weight or get into shape. So now when I finally realized this and it clicked to me that I really needed to focus on the nutrition is when I started doing the fad diets. I started doing the keto and then I did the carnivore. I did do vegan for a little bit, but that didn't really last long because I just love eating meat. But what I found with keto and carnivore was that I did lose a lot of weight very quickly. I know a lot of it is water because when you cut out carbs, you lose a lot of water weight, but this just made my cravings like go insane. I would go like a whole week of just being strict keto or carnivore and I would do great and I'd be losing weight, but then like the cravings would be so insane that I would just seesaw. I would go on the other side and just completely just binge out on just anything, pizza and bread and sandwiches and sweets. So it was just like not healthy. So these fad diets work in the short term, but they aren't sustainable long term just because of the restrictions. If you deny yourself the foods that you want to eat, eventually, you're gonna explode and you're gonna just like binge eat on all those foods and it's just gonna be this massive overcorrection. So contrast this with calorie tracking and you're basically able to eat whatever you want as long as you stay within your caloric goal. I will say that eating healthier foods make it easier for you to stay within your daily caloric goals. This is because healthy food allows you to eat more volume at a lower amount of calories. But with that being said, if you want to just eat pure burgers and fries and shakes, but stay within your daily caloric goal, you could do that. You just probably won't feel so good and won't feel as satisfied as if you were to eat healthier foods. But the beauty of this is that you can have the balance. You could have your spectrum be 70% healthy or 30% unhealthy or whatever you consider unhealthy. And that way you can allow yourself to eat the things that you want to eat, but stay within your daily caloric goals. And that allows you to stick with your nutrition plan for the long term without there being crazy binges. Okay, now, so in order to lose weight, you need to create a calorie deficit. You need to burn more calories than you eat. For me, specifically, my average resting calorie expenditure is 2,200. This is the amount of calories that I burn per day if I'm not working out, if I'm just doing my normal daily activities. It was determined by my Garmin running watch, and basically it's collected data from me over the past couple of years that I've had the watch based on my heart rate and based on my activity level, and it tells me that my resting caloric expenditure is 2,200. If you don't have a Garmin, if you have another smartwatch like an Apple smartwatch, it might have the features to give you the caloric expenditure, and if it doesn't, then you can go to this website by Garnet Health and you can enter your age and your weight and your activity level, and it'll give you an approximation of your daily caloric expenditure. Now, my recommendation would be to start off with a calorie deficit of 400 calories. I feel like this is a the perfect deficit for making considerable fat loss gains, or I guess losses, while not being insanely hungry from day to day. Now, you are gonna feel hungry whenever you're in a caloric deficit. It's just how it works, but it's just how hungry are you gonna feel from day to day. You could go with a 600 calorie deficit, but you might feel some energy loss, you might feel some fatigue, and you might go ravenous to where this might trigger a binge. So it's up to you, it's personal preference. If you can handle a 600 calorie deficit, I would say go for it. I think 400 is the perfect sweet spot. Now, even if 400 is too much with you and you want to ease your way in, you could totally do a 200 to 300 calorie deficit and you'll be fine. Okay, so now over to the Garnet Health Basal Metabolic Rate Calculator. This is where you can calculate your basal metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories your body burns if you were to do absolutely nothing. Here it says it's the calories burned if you were to stay in bed all day. This is different than your like resting calories burn, because your resting calories burn is just the amount of calories you burn minus working out. So that's just you doing your normal day, just going to work or going to the kitchen to cook food or running errands or whatever. But this is the basal metabolic rate, which is basically the amount of calories your body just needs to burn to sustain life. So let's calculate mine. So I'm 34 in age. My gender is male. I am 5'10" in height, so that's 70 inches. You gotta put it in inches. And then weight, I am 190. Calculate. So my basal metabolic rate is 1800 calories a day. Now my activity level, I'm moderate to heavy because I work out 6 times a week. Now looking at this one, the second to last one, it says 3100. I would say this is kind of high. I would say this makes more sense, 2800, because my resting calories burned on average is about 2200, and then my workouts average about 500 to 600 calories burned, so that gets me to 2800. So I'd say this is fairly accurate and would be a great starting point. Now let's do another example. Let's do someone else. Let's call him Tim. Let's say he's 40 years old. He's a male. Let's say he's 72 inches in height. And let's say he weighs 250. And he's looking to lose some weight. Calculate. His basal metabolic rate is 2082. Let's say he does light exercise 1 to 3 times per week, this second one. It's estimating that he burns about 2,863 per day. So now for someone like Tim who's looking to lose weight and goes with my recommendation of being in a 400 calorie deficit, he should aim to eat about 2,400 calories per day and input that into his app or just track it on the notepad, however he wants to do it. That would be a good starting point. And then from there, you can adjust if needed. You know, if that's too low or if that's too high. If you feel like you're not making enough progress, he could adjust it to 2300 a day. If that's a little too crazy for him and he just feels ravenous and then he's just low on energy, then he can like raise it up to like 2500 a day. So this is just a good starting point for you to start at if you have no idea what your metabolic rate is. And it's cool that it has the activity level here, so you can just kind of roughly guesstimate the amount of calories that you burn per day. So anyway, yeah, that's it. So now for my tools and apps that I use to track my daily calories, I use 2 apps to track my calories. It's MyFitnessPal and CalAI, with 95% of my tracking coming from MyFitnessPal. I use MyFitnessPal because it's been around forever, so it has a huge database of numerous restaurants and all their calories for all their foods and just a bunch of single ingredient foods, and it just has a huge database that's kind of unbeatable. Also, it has barcode scanning. You can enter your daily caloric goals and then just log all your food. It's just very easy to use, and it kind of encompasses everything, has everything. Okay, I just wanted to show a little demo of MyFitnessPal. So here's my home screen. If you click down in diary, this is where all the magic happens. So here's for today. So far I've only eaten lunch because I broke my fast at around 2 p.m. so I put it in the lunch section. Honestly, it doesn't even matter what section, it's just more for organizational that they do for you, but I put in the lunch section because I ate at 2. So I have here, I ate my 4 eggs with the butter that I cooked it in. I had 1 piece of toast, and then I had some blueberry preserves, or like the blueberry jam, and it was about 500 calories, pretty light. I like to keep it light during the day. And yeah, if you look at the top, you see my calorie goal that I'm trying to hit per day, which is 2100, and it subtracts the amount of food that I've eaten so far, the 495, so I have 1600 remaining. A cool feature that the premium has is that it adds exercise. So this is connected to my Garmin watch. So whenever I work out, say I go for a run and I burn 500 calories, it will add 500 calories here just to give you more breathing room with your intake, basically. But I actually turn the exercise section off so it doesn't add the exercise, because with my experience specifically, I feel like it overshoots the amount of calories that you burn. It'll say like I burn like 700 calories when I feel like intuitively I actually burn like 500. So I turned it off and I put my goal for 2100, which I'm actually kind of doing an aggressive cut right now that's pretty low. I'm just gonna try it for a few days. If it's a little too low, then I'll probably go back up to 2200, which is a more comfortable spot for me. If you go down to the 3 dots below here in the corner and then you go to goals, this is where you can set your calorie goals. I put my current weight and my goal weight is 175. If you click on calorie, carbs, protein, and fat, this is where you can set your calories, and then you can even put your percentages of carbs, protein, and fat if you want to get real technical with it. I don't really worry too much about this. I really worry more just for like hitting the calories. So as long as I have the calories at the top of 2100 and it has it set for my daily stuff, then that's all that matters. We can go to like another day. This past weekend I didn't track very well, but if we go to Friday, here I ate 2300 calories worth of food. I had my exercise still turned on, so it added the 600 of exercise. And yeah, I had about 72 calories remaining. I had a Chick-fil-A sandwich, some chips. I don't think I had this for breakfast. I think this was for dinner, but I just threw it at the top. So yeah, I did not have this for breakfast. This was dinner, but I just put it in the breakfast section. Here was my breakfast, basically, which is the eggs and the toast that I like. Here are the snacks, which is like just some random snacks that I had, like some watermelon and stuff. And anyway, yeah, so this is it. Now for CalAI, I use that as a supplementary app because basically what it is it's an AI app where you can take a snapshot of a plate of food, and using AI, it will guesstimate the amount of calories and macros. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but it's better than nothing. And basically I use this when I go to restaurants or my mom cooks me a plate of food where you just have no idea what the calories are. I'll use CalAI, I'll take a snapshot of that plate of food, and then it'll spit out the calories and the macros, and I'll grab this data and then I'll just input it into MyFitnessPal, and that way it's accounted for in like my daily calories. And so using these two in conjunction is like, it seems like the perfect formula, honestly. Okay, now for the CalAI demo. So here's CalAI. Basically, this is where I take a snapshot of a plate of food that I'm unsure of the calories, or they don't have it listed on the website or something. So let's go to an example of one that I took a picture of. I actually haven't used it in a while, as you can see, but here where it has the green W, I took a picture here. So here I took a picture of some food my mom brought me, which was like some salmon, some rice, a piece of shrimp, and broccolini, and it estimated at 366 calories, and it gives you the protein and the carbs and the fats. This app's cool because like if it like that piece of shrimp, it didn't know that was shrimp at first, you can click on here where it says fix issue, and then you can type in like, hey, that was a piece of shrimp, it wasn't like whatever you thought it was, and then it'll recalculate the calories. So that's pretty cool, like you can like fix it. This is a cool standalone app. You won't have to put, it's a lot less work than the individual ingredients that you input for MyFitnessPal. This is definitely something you could use. At $30 a year, it would be a great starting point for tracking your calories, I would say. I would definitely use this over writing in a notepad, but that's just me. For this specific example, say I were to snapshot this plate and I needed to put it into MyFitnessPal, it has it here, right? 366 calories, 29 grams of protein, 26 grams of carbs, 6 grams of fats. So what I would do is I'll come here to MyFitnessPal, I'll go to add food, and this option to the right, top right, quick add, I'll hit quick add, and then you can enter your calories here. You can do 366 and then just press the check mark, and then you have it there. But it doesn't have the macros, but you can do it with the macros. You can do add food, do quick add. Say you want to do the macros, like you want to get technical with it. So 29 grams of protein, 26 grams of carbs, and then 6 grams of fats. And then check. Basically, that's just how I use these two apps in conjunction. I just use CalAI for those plates where, you know, it's impossible for me to like just know the calories in the plate. So yeah, that's it. MyFitnessPal Premium is $80 a year. For me, this was worth it because I use it multiple times a day, every day. But you can use the free version. The free version of MyFitnessPal doesn't have barcode scanning, and there's some additional premium features that you won't have, but you can still use the free version and track your calories successfully for sure. CalAI, on the other hand, is $30 a year, which is considerably cheaper than the $80 that I pay for in MyFitnessPal, but it does not have the big database that MyFitnessPal has, and it's just not as accurate, I would say, but you could still be successful tracking your calories with CalAI for sure. It would take a lot of work out of tracking your calories because all you would have to do is just snapshot your food, and then it would just give you guesstimates of what the calories and macros are. But with this being said, it for sure wouldn't be as accurate as if you were to log every individual ingredient and all the things that you're cooking. But if you want to get started with just CalAI, then that's good too. Now, if you totally don't like apps, or just don't want to pay any money with apps, or just don't want to deal with anything of that sort, you could totally just go the old school route and write down the calories that you consume throughout the day on like a piece of paper. There's this YouTube video that I used to enjoy watching by a ballerina, I think on Vice, and she would write down all her calories on a piece of paper. She knew her daily calorie requirement to stay within a certain weight, and every time she ate, she would just write down on her notepad. So you could totally do this. You could write it down on a piece of paper, or you could use your notes app on your phone. Basically, there's no excuse for not being able to track your calories. Almost all foods, it's a requirement that all foods these days have a nutrition facts on the back. So you need to calculate your calories using a notepad or using just like writing it down on your phone. You can totally do that, and there's no excuse to not be able to do so. A game changer for me was buying a food scale. I bought this food scale. It's like pretty cheap on Amazon for like $14. I've had it for like over a year now, and I just use it every day, and it helps you just measure out your food perfectly so you know exactly the amount of calories that you're eating. Because without the scale, then you're gonna be kind of just guesstimating it, and you'd be surprised like how off you would be just by like trying to eyeball it. So I would highly recommend buying a food scale, because this allows you to be just more pinpoint precise with the calories that you're eating. A big tip that I'll say is to eat the same 5 to 6 meals every day. Figure out those 5 to 6 meals that you just absolutely love and that you can just eat every day with like no problem. For me, it's like eggs, chicken, rice. You know, I gotta have my chips in there. I have a little bit of sweet, and then just kind of eat that same thing every day. Know the exact calories it takes. It just makes it easier. For my routine, I work my eating around when I work out. I don't know, for me personally, I just like working out in the afternoon, evening, so I structure my eating around that. So basically when I wake up, I just drink coffee all morning and I fast until about like 1 or 2 p.m. Sometimes I'll eat at 12 if I'm particularly hungry that day, but for the most part, I try to stretch it out to like 1 or 2, at least get like a 5-hour fast. This helps keep me sharp because I have to work throughout the morning, and so if I have no food in my system, I just feel alert, focused, I'm just on caffeine, and it helps me feel like I'm burning fat throughout the morning. So then I have my first meal around 1 to 2 p.m. and it's usually always the same thing. I'll have like 4 eggs, 2 pieces of toast with some like blueberry preserves on there. This has like the savory and the sweet, and it's only about 500 to 600 calories. And this just holds me off until my workout around 5 or 6 or 7 p.m. Right after my workout, I usually have some sort of shake. If I'm lifting, I'll have like a protein shake. If I'm running, sometimes I will have like a fruit shake. And usually this is like 200, 300 calories. And then after this shake, I'll have like my big meal. And this is like my big dinner that's like about 1,500 calories. I just like eating, you know, the bigger meals at night. You know, if you work out in the morning, then maybe your bigger meal is going to be in the morning and it's going to be switched around. So feel free to, you know, switch it around how you like it, how it works for you. For dinner, I'll have that big 1,500 calorie feast, and usually it's the same thing. It's just like a big bowl of protein and carbs. It'll be like chicken and rice. I'll do beef and rice, or I'll do beef and pasta. I usually just rotate between those 3. If I'm feeling like lazy that day, you know, sometimes I'll just make a turkey sandwich with cheese. And then after that big meal, I usually leave about 400 to 500 calories left in the tank for at night, you know, 9 to 10 p.m. And this is where I eat, you know, the things that I want to indulge on, which is like chips or like ice cream or some sweets. I did find these like Haagen-Dazs ice cream bars minis, and they're only 180 calories and they're just delicious. And yeah, I mean, it allows me to indulge without feeling super guilty. If I just follow this plan, then I like steadily lose weight. Now for you, it doesn't have to be sweets or like chips or something like that. I mean, maybe your indulgence is beer. Maybe you love having 1 to 2 beers at the end of the night. If this is your thing, if you like having a glass of wine or a couple beers at the end of the night, you could put this in your plan and still achieve your goals, and that's the beauty of it. Now, slips are gonna happen. They're inevitable. You know, maybe your friend just randomly texts you to go out to dinner one night and y'all slam a huge bowl of freaking chips and wok, and then you have a huge entree, and then y'all finish it off by getting absolutely wasted and drinking like 15 beers that night. It's gonna happen, you know, maybe not to that extent, but you know, it could be you just having a movie night with your girl or just by yourself, and you just decide to like slam a whole pizza and eat an infinite amount of chips. These things happen, life happens. You need this for your sanity, honestly. Like, you truly need this. Me personally, happens all the time. I usually try to have a designated day that I do this, Saturdays or Sundays. Like, all right, this day I'm not gonna track. I'm just gonna go with the flow, intentionally go and eat pizza, go out to eat with friends, don't track, don't even think about it. You need these like 1 to 2 days a week where like these slips happen. It's kind of almost important for your sanity in order for you to get back on your program and be fine. You know, you can't be perfect all the time, so don't beat yourself up over it. And one thing I will say that is, if you do slip and say you go off the rails and you eat, you know, 3, 4, 5,000 calories, whatever it is, that next day, just continue with the program. Don't overcompensate. Don't have to be like, all right, in order to compensate for this like huge binge day, I gotta only eat like 500 to 1,000 calories. I'm just gonna fast all day and just like starve myself. Don't do that. Just continue your regular programming. You know, if it's 2,200 calories, just continue it like that binge never happened. That's the best way for you to stay on your structured plan. Well, guys, calories in, calories out is the best, most effective way to reach your weight loss or fat loss goals. If you want to be precise, like a scientist or a surgeon, getting down to the nitty-gritty details of what it takes to achieve your fat loss goals. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow for more self-development and fitness and nutrition videos. Comment down below what your calorie goal is and what's one food that you'll include in your plan. You know, what's a food that you can't live without. This is my first ever value provided video, and it was extremely fun to make. Thank you for watching, and yeah, there will be a lot more to come in the future. I'm excited. Thanks.